Ladies and gentlemen, the Football Scoop Podcast is back, and I'm more excited than ever. It's season 4. I am your host, Scott Roussel. I've got college football experts, John Brice, Zach Barnett, and the infamous Coach Doug Samuels, live from Michigan. Great to have you, gentlemen. How is everybody doing on this beautiful August day?
It's football starts this month. Like, we're gonna have live football here in college for the next 5 months. There's gonna be meaningful football for the next 6 months. The world is back on its axis. Life has meaning again. Life has purpose. We've made it.
I mean, if you count preseason football, it started last night. I don't count it either, but I'm just pointing it out.
Preseason was fantastic. I literally put it on for 2 plays last night. I was like, I don't know anybody there. Okay, this isn't that interesting. Turned it off. They actually turned the whole game off. Middle of the third or late third, they're like, yeah, that's enough. It's raining a little bit. Let's shut this thing down.
They mean the NFL?
Yeah, the NFL, they turned the game off. They just cut the game.
Oh.
That happened.
No idea.
We're recording here on the morning of Friday, August 2nd. We have actual real college football games in 22 days. We have actual real high school football games in much less than 22 days. It's an exciting time.
I believe that football brings America together, unlike many other things. I believe that college football, high school football have the ability to, truthfully, take America's eyes off of the hot mess that America has been and just give us something that we can all come to the dinner table on and be excited about for the next few months. We're going to be a respite from the weird rest of America. All right, tell me.
I was just going to say, college football never causes dinner table arguments. So that's a good point.
No, but I mean, I think that's an important point, Scott. You look at every year they publish a list of 100 most watched television shows in America, and like 93 of them are football games. And as our culture has become more splintered and technology has allowed us to kind of build our own popular cultures and build our own realities, football is the one thing we have in this country that brings everyone together. And I'm excited for us to play a small role in bringing everyone together and discussing the one national pastime this country still has.
Gentlemen, I'm about to drop a little bit of knowledge that you guys might know, but you might not know. In 3 months and a week or so, I'm going to celebrate my 25th anniversary with my beautiful wife. Do you know what else is celebrating 25 years this year?
Football Scoop.
Football Scoop.
I didn't know that.
25 years of Football Scoop this year, this season. This is our 25th anniversary. Somehow we're gonna have to do something about that. Maybe we'll even update the website. Maybe not. Who knows?
So we need to get the 25th anniversary embedded into the Football Scoop logo. That's we can get somebody on that.
Yeah. This is tech stuff. This is fascinating. We're very excited. So 25 years of Football Scoop, pretty awesome. We turned a podcast on and off here and there, but this is our 4th consecutive season of doing the podcast, just sharing our joy, our love of the game with others, giving some insight, some stuff that we can't really necessarily always write on the website, but we do like to share our, some opinions, thoughts, predictions here. Doug's a full-time high school football coach in addition to running Football Scoop every day. God bless the man. So Doug's got a season he's preparing for. Doug, give me the pulse real quick. High school football, state of Michigan. Is everybody ready to go? I know you got a little dead period, but August ball is about to start, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of schools, high school wise, all across the country, you got to share your kids in the summer if you're not a huge school. So I think everyone's kind of chomping at the bit. A lot of people took June a little off and kind of ramped things up in July, and we're 10 days out from the start of our fall camp. So there's a lot of excitement in the air here in Michigan. And I'm sure I know some states have already started things up and are rolling, and I think everyone's excited.
So I live in Baton Rouge, LSU. There's tremendous excitement about the potential to actually have an offensive line, which is exciting, and to be really good. They think Garrett Nussmeier is going to go down the field. Blake Baker has got a different style of defense. and playing to the player's strengths. LSU has great potential. John Brice is up in South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame, Riley Leonard is there. Notre Dame has all the potential in the world, JB. What's the feeling in the air?
I actually was out on the Notre Dame practice field this morning. So that was day 3 for the Irish. Riley Leonard is the key. There's very quiet but palpable optimism in the program that he will elevate them to a level that Sam Hartman could not a year ago. I think there's a belief that even though they're not remotely as good on the offensive line, they had 2 guys drafted in the top 59 picks of the draft, I believe, including Joe Alt at number 6 to the Chargers. But there's a belief that because of Riley Leonard being a dual threat, more of a dual threat, that they can be better. They've overhauled their wide receiver group. They didn't have by the end of last year, they had maybe 5 scholarship receivers, period. They've got 11 really good scholarship receivers this year, including getting Jaden Harrison from Marshall and Charles Huff's program, where he was quite literally an All-American returner. And then they brought in Bo Collins from Clemson and Chris Mitchell, who was like a 100 catch guy at FIU, in addition to the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that they bring back in their own program. And they're really, really good on defense. And obviously, reigning Football Scoop Offensive Coordinator of the Year, Mike Denbrock, is now calling the shots. I spoke to Mike yesterday, getting ready to deliver his Football Scoop Award to him this month over the course of training camp. So that's exciting stuff. And then, look, they've got the biggest game of Marcus Freeman's career, week 1, August 31st at Texas A&M. I'm going to continue to call it the single biggest game of Marcus Freeman's career until the game is over.
Riley Leonard was a unique talent. That's why I was so high on Duke last year until the injury. I believe seasoned quarterback play is critical to success at the college level. There's a lot of really good returning quarterbacks. You think of you start with Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama. I mean, there's depth out there. This year, are we going to see the same kind of top 10 battling it out? Not necessarily the same, but is it going to be much of the same? Or are we expecting anything new, anything different at the very top of the depth chart or top of the top 25?
I'll say I don't know if this is a topic for this pod or the next pod, but I'm happy to repeat it as often as necessary because it's one of my core beliefs heading into the 2024 football season. I'm a skeptic in Ole Miss. I know they're in everybody's top 10. I don't believe – I think they're far more pretender than contender. So I think Alabama is going to be better than people expect. Georgia's going to be really good. Obviously, Scott believes LSU's national title bound. Texas is going to be really good. I think Ole Miss is the team to sell in the SEC. I don't know if that answers your question, but I've been sitting on that take for 8 months.
Zach you've never sat on that take. You've shared that take literally every year for the last 30 years of your life.
Okay, well, I believe it even more now than I ever have.
Also, Zach, isn't it a little early to let Scott's one bold prediction out of the bag with LSU national champion?
It's his bold prediction of every year for the last 30 years of his life.
In the fairness of bold predictions, let's try to get yours past week 2 this year, Zach. Deion Sanders has a message for you. He's still keeping score, buddy. So that one didn't work out so well.
No, it didn't.
I think Texas. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying my bold prediction was roundly defeated early on, and that's fine. I went bold and I went home.
You have to go bold. If you don't go bold, I don't even know who you are.
I think Texas is the number 1 team in the country going into the season. I've said that publicly already. I will continue to say that. I think it's Texas and Georgia, followed by Oregon, and then I think that there's a bunch of teams that are very quality. I expect LSU to take a step back. I think that Alabama will take an inevitable step back, and curious to see what Ohio State does. They have a splendidly talented team and maybe one of the largest NIL payrolls in the country, as does Ole Miss. How do those teams balance this new era of having even more money than ever before in the locker rooms, and what does that do over the course of a season if adversity strikes?
Yeah, I think the top 10 largely looks the same players. I think Kalen DeBoer does a great job everywhere he goes, so I don't think Alabama, really skips a beat. I think as far as LSU goes, it's really tough to replace a Heisman Trophy winner and your offensive coordinator that was a stud. So that's going to be a challenge, and completely overhaul the defensive staff. So to say they're not going to take a step back, I think would be bold. I've got my eyes on like Penn State. Are they going to be able to take that next step forward with a new offensive coordinator in town? And then, I think everyone's eyes are on Ohio State because of that NIL payroll and because of luring Chip Kelly away from UCLA to come be their OC. I think the expectations, you could argue, have never been higher at Ohio State. They're sky high right now.
Yeah,
that's a great point, Doug.
The closest comp I have to 2023 Ohio State is the 2011 Miami Heat. This is just a super team beyond super teams. With you look in, obviously, the way they recruit, the way they retain their own roster with a lot of guys that would have gone pro in any other era before the NIL era, and then the people they were able to bring in, starting with who I believe might be the very best player in college football this year in safety Caleb Downs. They have, and to quote Seinfeld, they have a pretty big matzo ball hanging out in front of them all season long. And, I've written about the comments that Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel have made. And I think Ryan Day is under a pressure cooker unlike anything we've ever seen in this sport.
I think
it helped. It will help that Michigan's going to be, Michigan just lost so much. So Michigan's going to be, and a year of transition. The program's a little bit in flux with Harbaugh leaving and so many guys leaving with him. Michigan's going to theoretically be a little bit down. So this should be the year Ohio State, they do it all. I agree with you. There's going to be immense pressure on Ryan Day. We'll see if they can deliver. I just don't know.
Yeah, and for Alabama, I think we all have great admiration for Kalen DeBoer. I just think Nick Saban sort of through iron sheer will eliminated some problems that creep up in every program, and just some little attention to detail things where there's that transitionary period. And then on top of that, the Crimson Tide schedule is unbelievable now that Texas and Oklahoma are folded into the SEC, and it was already the best conference. What does the ACC do? I think that's a key element for the entire season, is where does the ACC fall in visibility and pecking order and quality of play on the field. They're still smarting from not getting Florida State in to the CFP last year in its final iteration of a 14 playoff. Now we expand to 12 teams, but I think that it's pretty clear that the SEC and the Big Ten are right at the very tip top. The Big 12 is lurking right behind, and then I think there's great separation before you start talking about the ACC. So I think it's the most important year in the history of ACC football, the same as it's the opening game is the defining moment thus far of Marcus Freeman's head coaching career.
I love the expanded playoff. It allows a team like Alabama, you got a new head coach, LSU, you got a whole new defensive staff. Michigan, you got things you got to work through. It allows you to figure out your season. As long as you can peak at the end, we're playing for a national championship. I think this adds intrigue. It adds excitement, more teams, more visibility, more America. I love all these things.
Yeah, the bargain that we all had with college football growing up, all of us, was hey, we don't have a real playoff system. The season is the playoff system. So a September game like Alabama, Georgia could be an elimination game. Moving forward, that's not going to be the case. No one, no matter the outcome of that game, believes either team is going to be eliminated. So it's going to make September different, but it's going to make October and especially November a lot more interesting. We're going into a season where the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks have a viable path to win a national championship. Now, they're going to be undone by their own roster and limitations, but they have a path just as the LSU Tigers have a path. And that's never happened before. And we're going to have, whereas you might have 7 games with national championship implications on a November 15th, Saturday, whatever. Now that's going to be 65 games, something like that. I see Scott shaking your head, and technically I am correct.
I won't. I'm not going to go down a ULM wormhole, but we haven't mentioned the University of Florida yet. I think it's obviously just a enormous season for Billy Napier, and he might be facing the toughest schedule in the modern history of college football. It's absolutely insane what the Gators gauntlet is this year. I think that's incredibly significant. Because of that, Shane Beamer, much like Billy Napier, under incredible pressure this year at South Carolina. And then Josh Heupel bringing in maybe the first poster boy of the new NIL system, Nico Iamaleava, as the starting quarterback. And he was the first guy to get that multi-million-dollar deal coming out of high school in California when he picked the Vols. Now he is the heir apparent to Joe Milton, and can he have Tennessee in playoff contention? So those are to me 3 or 4 more topics. But I mean, that Napier schedule for Florida is just unbelievable. And if it goes bad early, I mean, it's only been like 3 years since we saw the coaching carousel start on Labor Day weekend at Southern Miss.
Yeah, and you look at, not only do they have to play Florida State and their traditional SEC gauntlet, which now includes Texas, but the fact that they get Miami early and UCF, I mean, that would be a difficult schedule for anyone, but adding Miami, which is a rival that they don't play every year, but they have to play this year at home, and then UCF, quote unquote, little brother, makes it a specifically difficult schedule for Florida in particular.
Yeah, they opened, I believe, with Miami, and then
Yes.
UCF, Gus Malzahn has had past success against Florida from his other time in the SEC.
These guys that I'm looking at on the screen, the Football Scoop squad,
Are handsome.
they got all the bona fides. They've done it. They've been there. They know everybody.
We don't know Jack.
And then Zach throws out ULM's got a straight path. Like,
The smartest person on this pod is Doug,
Mhm.
because he just sort of sits here and observes and then drops pearls of wisdom, like the true head coach. Like he doesn't speak unless it's time to hear from the head coach.
It's true.
I just seeing you guys, hearing your voices, hearing the nuggets about. No, I will never mention ULM again, but Nico is ready to go at Tennessee, and I hadn't even thought about Tennessee. Like there is so much excitement in the air with college football. It's a good time. So here's my plan: Football Scoop Podcast. I'm thinking we're 2 or 3 times a week, every week from now until January. Sound good, boys?
Let's do it.
And
Let's
so
make it
late
happen.
January, national championship, January 20th.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying 2 or 3 times until January. I was thinking in January, maybe we go like every day.
Okay.
Maybe.
Good.
We'll see. It's busy
12
time.
team playoff and the carousel. It's unprecedented, baby. There's no precedent.
Actually, I think the way the calendar works this year, I mean, John, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the carousel might start earlier, but when it gets into earnest, I think the way the calendar works, the last regular season game, not the last one, but most teams finish, I think, the end of November 30th. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier just because of the way the calendar falls. So we might have a lot. I mean, December might be just mayhem.
Plus, I mean, look, we can have 1,000 more topics today. This is just our reintroduction. Welcome back. But since you brought up the end of the regular season, let's not forget December signing day moved up 2 weeks. So it's coming the first Wednesday in December rather than the third Wednesday. So I believe December 4th is now signing day, December 4, 5, and 6 rather than 18, 19, and 20. They had to move it because we will have one guaranteed college football playoff game on Friday night, December 20th, followed by 3 the next Saturday, the following day.
Which probably means some itchy trigger fingers for ADs that want to make a move towards the end of the season.
Listen to the head coach.
The Football Scoop Podcast. I love doing this. This is great fun. We're going to share this everywhere. Tell your friends we're back. You know what to do with this thing. Let us know some feedback and just have a great season. Everybody enjoy August. We'll be on here frequently. FootballScoop.com is a great place to catch us. You know all the rest. We're out.